के लिए एक प्रबल मंच है. While I rise before this august gathering to speak a few words, I fondly recall what Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji has said in the event of foundation laying ceremony of the new Parliament building as part of the Central Vista project at the National Capital on 10 December 2020. He said, and I quote, "Democracy is a way of life in India. The laws made in the Parliament, the deliberation that take place are building blocks of our democracy." Honorable Prime Minister rightly pointed out the depth of democratic values in our society and how they are an integral part of our civilization ethos. The democratic tradition of our great nation has a long and serious past. Having said that, it is pertinent to mention that the principle of democracy in India was originated from the Vedas. To make democracy a guiding force in polity, the ancient Indians coined the terms Sabha and Samiti, which represented two democratic institutions of our bygone era. Both these institutions found mention in the Rig Veda and Atharva Veda. In these institutions, decisions were made after discussion with the king, ministers, and scholars at that time. This shows how politics at the time revolved around the democratic principle. People used to settle decisions together at the Sabha and Samiti with good intent. To arrive at a decision, people of different ideologies were divided into various groups and decisions were taken after mutual consultation. In ancient history of India, description of small republics is found where people participated together in the decision-making process related to the administration. The republic were defined as a democratic system in ancient India. The Atreyi Brahmins, Ashtadhyaya of Panini, inscription of Mahabharata and Ashoka pillars, the historical writings of contemporary historians, Buddhists and Jain texts, and in the Manusmriti, various historical evidence are found to that effect. In Mahabharata, we find mention of a gathering of common people which they call Jana Sadan in the Santi Parv. This Sadan was also known as Parliament, which documented the decision between Bhishma and Yudhishthira on various aspects of governance, including the benefits of Janpada, which were small kingdoms and which were nothing but a republic form of government. The Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata mention about 230 Janapadas. The Janapada that existed between 1500 BC to the 6th century BC was the highest political unit in ancient India. Though usually monarchical in nature, some of them followed a republic form of government. The Sabha Parv of Mahabharata also provide evidence of the republican form of polity where the constitutional practice of republicanism existed. The Mahajanpadas were the 16 most powerful and vast kingdoms and republic that existed in ancient India from the 6th to 4th century BC. Among the Mahajanpadas and smaller states, the Saikyas, Koliyas, Mallas followed republican government. A semblance of democratic tradition was evident in Assam in the days of Ahom rule also. Though the king was called Swargadev, was the head of the state, all decisions were taken by him only in the consultation with the ministers or Dangoriyas, which initially consisted of Bura Guhai, Bor Guhai and Bor Patra Guhai. The ministers even had the power to dethrone the king and place someone else in his place or rule the kingdom by themselves in the absence of any suitable person to adorn the crown. We find the same democratic spirit flourishing with the emergence of Mahapurush Srimanta Shankar Deva in the social and religious landscape of Assam, who through Ekasaran Namadharma sowed the seeds of an equal and just society. The Namghar established by the great spiritual reformer exemplified the two democratic values and traditions which continued unabated in our society till today. I feel immensely proud that CPA Assam State Branch and Assam Legislative Assembly has got the remarkable opportunity to host the 8th Commonwealth Parliamentary Association India Region Conference, which is being participated by Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Legislative Assembly, Chairman and Deputy Chairman of the Legislative Council of our country. The citadel of democracy where we are sitting today, with its glorious history over the years, has unceasingly raised the voice of the voiceless, stood with the weakest among the weak, and debated all important issues with zeal and zest, and steered the state through thick and thin. In the parliamentary democratic setup, Assam Legislative Assembly has a rich history and long tradition. After annexation of Assam to British India, the British government made Assam a separate Chief Commissioner's provinces on February 6, 1874. However, Assam got its first Legislative Council on April 1, 1912. The British government elevated Assam to a governor's province under the provision of Government of India Act on December 23, 1919, and provide for a reform and enlarged Assam Legislative Council, which came into effect from April 1, 1921. A broad-based bicameral legislatures comprising a legislative council and a legislative assembly were provided for Assam under the Government of India Act 1935. The first elected government in Assam was sworn in on April 1, 1937, and the newly elected Assam Legislative Assembly first met at the state capital Shillong on April 7, 1937. The elected representative of Assam of this assembly included members from the present-day state of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and also from Sylhet, which is now part of Bangladesh. This bicameral legislature was abolished on 15 August 1947, and since then Assam Legislative Assembly is having a unicameral status. In the years that followed, Assam was truncated to several smaller states. After the formation of Meghalaya, Shillong became the joint capital of both Assam and Meghalaya. In 1972, the government of Assam decided to shift the capital to Dispur. The first session of Assam Legislative Assembly was held in this provisional capital of Dispur on 16 March 1973, and since then proceedings of Assam Legislative Assembly have continued here only. During the last 8 decades, Assam Legislative Assembly has witnessed many historic debates with several great personalities adorning this temple of democracy. Amongst the luminaries, the name of Bharat Ratna Lokapriya Gopinath Bordoloi, who was the first Premier of Assam, always stands apart. A great statesman, Bordoloi fought untiringly from this assembly to save Assam from merging with East Pakistan during the partition of India, while at the same time working as an activist for protecting the rights and fulfilling the aspiration of our people. Another stalwart that this assembly saw was Sri Gauri Shankar Bhattacharya, who during his 26th year long stint in this assembly remained committed to serving the voiceless, the poor, and economically deprived. This assembly was also witness to a rare confluence of three cultural doyens of Assam in the year 1967, where the music maestro Bharat Ratna Dr. Bhupen Hazarika, cultural icon Vishnu Prasad Rava, and Lakshadhar Chaudhary was elected to this house. Political stalwarts like Vishnuram Medhi, Bhimbor Deuri, Rupnath Brahma, Pushpalata Das, former President of India Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, Bimala Prasad Soliha, Mahendra Mohan Chaudhary, Devakanta Borua, Sharat Chandra Sinha, Hiteshwar Soikia, Torun Gogoi, and several other legendary politicians adorned the floor of this assembly during the course of its journey spanning over 8 decades. This august house played a pioneering role in shaping the socio-cultural and academic edifice of the state while giving a major push to Assam development narrative. In the establishment of Guwahati High Court, the first University of Assam, Guwahati University, and setting up the first oil refinery in Assam are few of the many landmark steps that this august house has taken over the years. The Assam Legislative Assembly has passed several important legislation in the last decade to bring about transformative changes in the lives of the people of the state. This year, Assam Legislative Assembly is celebrating the 85th year of its foundation. Considering the present day needs and to cope up with changing time, the Assam government took the landmark initiative to construct a state-of-the-art assembly building with all modern facilities of e-Vidhan Sabha, modern offices, complexes for speaker, ministers, meeting room for the ruling party, opposition party, state-of-the-art central hall, modern office complex along with the state-of-the-art conference room for all committees with modern audio-video system, video conferencing facilities, etc. will adorn the new assembly building. Its construction is expected to be completed by 31st December 2022. मैं बहुत ही विनम्रता पूर्वक लोकसभा का माननीय अध्यक्ष श्री ओम बिरला जी को अभी से ही आमंत्रित करता हूं कि आप हमारा बीच दोबारा आइए और हमारा नया विधानसभा को उद्घाटन कीजिए। आज के इस ऐतिहासिक अवसर पर मुझे ये कहते हुए बहुत गर्व महसूस हो रहा है कि पिछले 2 दशकों के अधिक समय से इस सम्मानीय संस्थान का साथ मैं हिस्सा हूं। अपने लंबी सक्रिय राजनीतिक जीवन में मैं समझता हूं कि आधुनिक लोकतंत्र में लोग चुने हुए प्रतिनिधियों से बहुत ही उम्मीद रखते हैं। लोग चाहते हैं कि हम उनकी आवाज और अभिभावक बने। लोगों ने उनके जीवन की मूलभूत आवश्यकताओं के साथ उनके सपनों की पूरा करने के लिए हमें जिम्मेदारी दी है। To active participation in the debates in the August House, we not just can bring into the focus different aspects of the bills under discussion, but at the same time, we can be the champion of upholding the democratic rights by giving unprecedented momentum to their welfare and development. In this context, CPA provides a timely platform for in-depth deliberation on a wide range of issues of constitutional, legislative, economic, social and cultural aspects, which are of the paramount importance for furthering our rich democratic tradition. By working together and learning from each other, we can constantly improve our democratic practice and system, and we all need to work towards that goal only to meet the aspiration of our citizens and celebrate democratic spirit of our great country. भूतपूर्व प्रधानमंत्री भारत रत्न अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने कहा था, भारतीय लोकतंत्र की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है, ये ताकत यही है कि हमने हमेशा राष्ट्र को राजनीति से ऊपर रखा है। वाजपेयी जी का शब्द हमारे मजबूत लोकतंत्र का सच्चा प्रतिबिंब है। मुझे विश्वास है कि सीपीए का इस क्षेत्रीय सम्मेलन में विचार और विमर्श के माध्यम से हमें अधिक प्रोत्साहन मिलेगा। Former Prime Minister Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji has once said, Indian democracy's greatest strength is that we have always put nation above politics. Vajpayee ji's words are a true reflection of our cherished democratic ethos, which I believe will find greater impetus through the deliberation at this regional conference of CPA. With these few words and thanking you all for taking out time to visit Assam to take part of this remarkable event, I bring an end to my words. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you for